The Gi spot. I'd hit that.
Welcome to the Gi Spot podcast. My name's Rachael Bradshaw and I'm a black belt in Jiu Jitsu.
You did it without tongue-tied and twisted. Hi, I'm Kaz Page and I'm a purple belt in Jiu Jitsu. And we're back.
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Retro, how was your week?
Busy.
It feels like it's gone real quick.
Hectic.
Yeah, you got a lot on.
So it's just that time of year.
For everyone, I think.
Yeah, it's like all on my shoulders at the moment. I feel like there's an elephant there. But, you know, it's just a busy time of year. I went away up to Grafton to visit my grandma, which was lovely.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you went on a mum and daughter road trip.
I did, and that was beautiful. I had a really good time. Didn't get to train while I was away. Usually I get to train. Usually I get to exit left out of the house, right around home and away and neighbours time. And leave my mum and my grandma to that while I
go train.
I go train and get a little bit of sanity back, and then I come back home all happy. But the gym up there was closed for renovations.
So you had to endure home and away and neighbours?
Yeah. I'll do better next time. One of my students, I was telling them, and they were like, why did you tell them that it was closed for renovations? You could have just gone out for a drive.
That's it, just disappeared. Like, gone for a walk on the beach, anything.
Well, there's no beach in Grafton.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of inland a little bit. But the river, there's the river, the Clarence River.
A park. Sat on a swing.
Could have done anything. I'm too honest for my own good.
Home you went.
How was your week?
My week's been good. I don't know. I don't think anything major this weekend. I'm checking over with my sanity keeper over there. No, he's shrugging his shoulders.
Yep.
No, I think it was good. We just kind of
nice
cruised through. It's never quiet. I wish for quiet. It's never quiet. But, you know, all things are coming together, which is good. So we're going to close out the year on a bit of a high, and I'm excited about that. So
I feel like everything's coming down really hard on me at the moment, and all the loose ends are tying up for you at the moment.
Yeah.
We're not really on the same path right now. I've taken a little detour off to the left.
Yeah,
I'll come back to you.
Come back. This side's really pretty. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Mind you, we've taken enough beatings this year.
I think so too.
I'm happy to be on this side of the fence for the moment.
Yeah, the cruisy path.
Yeah. And it's it's good. I think I've mentioned to you that, you know, we had a property that we had been holidaying at and all the rest of it. We made the decision to go ahead and sell it. It sold, but it sold with a whole variance of complications and delays and all the rest of it. And that's just another thing that ticked over and went, okay, there you go, Kaz, we're done. It's all good.
Yep.
No problems. And I'm learning to just go, what will be, will be. I have no control over this. So whereas historically I would be jumping off the deep end and sending my family insane with my stresses and my worries and all the rest of it. And I think I just hit 52 and went, fuck it, whatever.
I remember a long time ago, I came to the realization that you can worry about everything, and in the end, the results are the same.
Yep.
Whether you worry about it and stay up at night and think about it and don't get sleep, or if you get a good night's sleep, the results will probably end up much the same either way. And kind of everything kind of works itself out in the end anyway.
Yeah. And even if it doesn't, you get through it.
You do.
You find ways. I mean, you know our story.
Yep.
You know the hell that we have been through.
Yep.
And we're still standing.
Yep.
So you get through. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off and you move forward. Or you can sit as a victim and cry.
Yep.
And I refuse to do that. I refuse to be a victim.
And all pathways end up kind of leading to probably where you'd end up anyway.
Yep.
You know, which is really cool. Or better sometimes, you know.
You're better if you choose to dust yourself off and keep moving forward.
I think that's the key too.
Yeah.
Positive mindset.
Yeah. Got to keep moving forward. Got to keep doing the work.
Absolutely.
We tell our kids every day, smart people work hard.
Yep.
And that's all it is. That's full stop.
Yep.
Smart people work hard.
It's so true. You know, I was thinking about that today, and I'm like, do the work or don't do the work.
Yeah.
But stop fucking talking about how you can't do the work and all your excuses under the sun.
Yep. And it's the same in every aspect, right? From training. Either turn up or don't turn up.
Yep.
Don't fucking talk about it. Just do it.
Do it. No one cares. Actually, no one cares either way.
That's it.
If you're on the mats or you're not on the mats, you know, people will care if you're not there and they'll send you a message, but it really doesn't affect their life too much
they're going to keep
because
training.
they're there working.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
If you choose not to work, don't talk about it. Just come when you can and do the work and
turn
keep
up
getting
and
better.
do it and be a great training partner and have other great training partners help you, or don't.
Yeah.
But there's other great training partners, right? There's
Absolutely.
always someone for someone.
That's right.
So
anyway, rant of the day.
No, I mean that was my week in retro. Now, before we move forward, I just want to do this.
Okay.
Hi, Zach. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah. Zach's one of our students at Iconic. I love Zach.
I know.
He's actually one of my favourite training partners. He's really fun and he's very coachable and he's just a beautiful guy. See all the nice things I'm saying about you, Zach?
I'm still his favourite podcaster.
Yeah. Apparently Kaz is his favourite podcaster.
And we're having so much fun with this.
Okay.
I do have to say.
I get it. All right. Fuck you. No, all right.
Yes!
No. Anyway, all right. Let's move on.
Righto. So today, so there's been a bit of a chat about, landscapes and design around classes and in the women's chat.
Yeah, I posed the question to the ladies chat this week about, give me some feedback. We've almost a year in. We're starting to do our retrospective of the year, right?
Yep.
We've grown and we've also we've sort of grown a lot. I think we had one of our biggest classes this year for a while, and then a few of the ladies have sort of dropped off out of the women's class and sort of stepped up more into the mixed classes, and that's great. I love that. Yep. And that's the purpose of that class, right? To get the ladies in, get them confident, and then get them into the mixed classes where they can start to up their games.
And we've talked about that on a couple of episodes too. Yeah.
But at the same time, I really love the female class because it brings us all together on the mats. And I really do try in those classes to not just keep it at that entry level jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
I when you're on the mats, I always try to make sure that this is something that I teach that you get out of it. And I know if I can make you get out something from the class, well, surely all the white belts on the mat will get something out of it too, right? Yep. So my goal is to share those special little tips and tricks that I don't always put in the other classes to that class. Yep. So I'm trying to find ways of bringing the fold back together and get them all back on those in that one class together again. Yeah. Anyway, and while we were having this chat, the question about sparring came up.
Yeah.
And some of the ladies were like, I really like the drilling, maybe a little bit less sparring.
Yeah.
And then you wrote this amazing thing.
So I'm watching all this unfold, and I don't very often comment. Yeah. I will read a lot and all the rest of it. But there was just something in there that I'm like, I'm just going to throw my 20 cents. And let's face it, I'm very opinionated. So this is what I wrote, and we agreed, I just want to read out because this is what we're going to talk about today. So I wrote, "Hey ladies, just a thought for what it's worth. When we do jiu-jitsu, it teaches us a whole bunch of things subconsciously. How to find comfort in the most uncomfortable of positions. How to breathe deep when we don't think we can. How to move in a very reactive to active state. How to defend, and how to attack. It gives us fitness we didn't realize we need, and it allows us to push ourselves harder than sometimes we ever thought possible. And some of you might not think you need or want that until you achieve it. Then it becomes like a life force. This beautiful thing we call jiu-jitsu has two equal parts. One we call drilling, and the other we call rolling. The thing is, if we only have one or more of one than the other, we unbalance our achievements. I watched some of you recently step away, way out of your comfort zone, and go to Wollongong to another gym and roll like motherfuckers. You all nailed it. And the excitement I saw, the exhilaration I saw, each of you experience was awe-inspiring. I hope that for all of you. I believe we learn positions from drilling. We learn multi-movement from drilling. It gives us strength, and allows us to put the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together slowly, meticulously. It allows us to muscle memory the movement. But rolling will push you. It will take you so far away from your comfort zone until it is comfort. And then it takes you again. It will challenge the drill. It will conform or deny the muscle memory. It will be your friend and your enemy, and all of that you learn to accept and be okay with. You learn what you are actually capable of. And in that split moment that I hope you never encounter, you put all of that work without even realizing you are doing it. Whatever your reason for coming to the mat, I hope you see the progressions you are all making by drilling and rolling. And I hope you see the amazing strength you are realizing you have. For what it's worth, I hope we never do less rolling than drilling. And I hope the balance of rolling and drilling always remains equal. But that's just me. And the reason I wrote that is because any research you look into this sport, any person worth their weight that has achieved anything in this, any of the good coaches, any of the schools out there that are teaching Jiu Jitsu are teaching with that mixture of drilling and rolling. Mm-hmm. Because, if you just look at it, and so I wrote some things down here, the improving of techniques. I do not learn those micro movements that you teach so well in drills from a roll. Fuck, I'm hard-pressed sometimes implementing them in a roll.
Yep.
But what I do find is that if I do it over and over and over again, when I'm in a roll and I master it, holy shit, it's an awesome feeling. Mm-hmm. I would never have that feeling if I didn't roll.
Yep.
But I would never be able to do it if I didn't drill.
Mm-hmm.
So how are they not equal?
Yep.
Why would you want one and not the other? It dumbfounds me. I think it should be equal.
Yep, I agree with you. And in fact, there's been opinionated people before who've said that drilling or rolling trumps drilling. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because I think you have to, especially at white belt, blue belt, blah, 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 early on in your journey, when you don't know what you don't know, you have to learn.
But aren't you also, if you're white belt, blue belt, friggin' hell, purple belt, and I can't talk beyond,
brown
obviously.
Belt. And you know what? At black belt, I'm still learning fundamentals.
Yeah, see,
I'm still learning from my coach. I'm so excited because my coach is coming down to our academy next week, and I cannot be more thrilled about it because every time that man teaches, I learn something new, and it's usually the simplest thing.
Yep.
And I just go, I didn't even comprehend that before. Wow. Or I never thought about it in that way before. Yeah. Wow. Now I can implement that straight into my jiu-jitsu.
There are things that I will do on the mats that I've been doing a really long time, right? And we know I have my favorites that I'll go to, right?
Yeah, we all do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I'll go to that favorite. But in the last year, there have been so many different tiny elements to my favorite shit that I thought I was nailing.
Yep.
And you or Grant have gone, hey, whoa, hang on, what about, just do this or modify that. And I'm like, it's like firecrackers going off, because all of a sudden I don't have to gas myself trying to get through that thing that I really love to do because of a micro movement that for whatever reason I didn't have in my brain, and now I do.
And you actually get more of that in the sparring component.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're putting it in real time against a resisting opponent, and you're relying on your muscle memory and, another body that's moving in a way that's not cooperative with you.
And that's the point too, right? Like in a drill, you as my training partner will put everything you need to put in place for me to – so I'm on the mats this morning, right? And, sorry, I'm with Zach. It's not my fault.
Who's now your favourite training partner? I can go to hell.
Zach, you're getting me in trouble, dude. So we're going through this motion, right? And we're putting all of the pieces in place. Then you and I go into not tic-tac-toe, what we do?
Ping pong.
Ping pong, thank you. One day I'll get it right. Okay, so everything goes. Everything goes out the window, out my brain and all the rest of it. I will need to drill that 10, 15, 20, maybe more times before it's cemented into my head.
Yep.
You know, and every white belt that I've ever spoken to is like, oh, I don't know, I get in and it's just a mental blank.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right, because you haven't drilled, motherfucker. Like, you need time. You need to do this stuff over and over and over again, and then you put it in.
Yep.
But you're only going to understand and learn what you don't know or what you've forgotten or what you haven't quite figured out by somebody not playing nice, by somebody pushing back, by somebody not being the perfect drilling partner, because all of a sudden you're in a role and they're trying to do their thing.
Yep.
So their body's not going to be where it needs to be, right? They're not going to politely raise their arm and do what they want you to do and all the rest of it. And you say
more
that
than
in
a
drills.
glorified grappling dummy.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
And I've said this before on the podcast, and I'll say it again. You know, when I talk to new people in their first night, I always say there's two parts to this. The first part of the class is the class portion, where you have a cooperative training partner that allows you to do the moves so that you can learn the moves. Yep. The second half is where everyone becomes uncooperative and they're trying to stop you from doing what you want to do, and you're trying to stop them from doing what they want to do, whilst also trying to do what you want to do. And it all is about that final checkmate at the end, right? Who can make the other person tap?
Yep.
That's kind of what this part is about, and that's where you really learn how to put everything that you've learned into practice.
Yep.
There's the theory, which is not really theory because it's practical as
You're
well.
physically doing
but there's the theory and the practice, and you have to do the practice.
It's like a game of Monopoly. You don't read the rules and then not play the game. Right?
True.
What's the point?
Yep.
You read the rules, you learn what it all means, and then you play the damn game.
Yep.
This is no different.
Yep.
You got to read the rules by doing the drills, being shown the techniques, having a go, and then play the game.
Yep.
Get in and have a go. Now, there are levels of comfort to this that I do not disagree with.
Yes.
And there are levels of time and there are levels of capability and conditioning, right? So if you're rolling and there might be 11 rounds. If you can only do 3, then do 3.
Yep.
And next week, I do not roll every round. I don't, well, at the moment I don't roll any rounds, but in my normal world, I don't roll every round. I don't have the conditioning to, I gas out. I can't. I have to roll a couple and then I have to sit one and then I can go back in and roll again and,
That's almost standard, I think. You get there's nights where I'll train every round, just depending on what mood I'm in and this and that. And then there's nights where I'll train a couple of rounds and then I'll get the phone and I'll do some footage for the socials. Yeah. And then I'll jump back in and go, I'll roll every other round now. And now that I've done that little bit of whatever. And then there's some nights where people will grab me to do some self-defense, or people will grab me to buy a T-shirt or a rash guard or something on their way out the door. Whatever the case is, my rolling does get interrupted in that way. Sometimes it's self-inflicted, sometimes it's outside inflicted. But, I totally get that. And you'll often see, there'll be people that will sit out around in a session, and that's more than okay.
Yep, absolutely.
We'd rather you go home wishing you'd done one more than going home regretting your life choices.
Still got to get up and work tomorrow, right? Yeah. So I don't disagree with that. And do you know, at the end of the day, and there was something you said a couple of episodes ago that's really kind of stuck with me. This is not the Olympics. This is not I'm getting paid for this every week I turn up. This is my fun. This is my what did you call it? It's a hobby. Yeah. This is the thing that I go and do, and I have fun. So if that means that 3/4 of a way through a roll it's just too hard and I've gassed out and I've got to tap out and go, hey, I just got to sit for a second, that's okay too. Like, you don't have to be in there and be the bee's knees every single roll for every second of every single roll. Your training partner's going to understand. Yep. And they're going to move on to the next person after you anyway. So I think a lot of it, we get caught in our own headspace about what other people's expectations are of us on the mats. Yep. And by and large, if you let that go, jiu-jitsu becomes way more fun. Like if you take the expectations of yourself, stop thinking, I think they're thinking this of me. Just don't think that. Just chill. Do what you can do, and each week maybe push yourself just that little bit more to achieve that little bit more.
I said to one of the newer ladies on the mats the other night, I was like, I want you to add someone new to your list every week.
Yep.
And I say this, I've said this before to other training partners and other ladies that I, have brought up into that confidence level of being able to just go out there and do it, right? And I've said, you've got your safe training partners that you've already, you've stepped out of your comfort zone, and you've gone with person A, B, C, and D.
Yep.
And they're all on the mats tonight. So go ask them for a round.
Yep.
And then pick one more person. And you're going to find that eventually, and it won't actually take that long, that you'll just be like, I forget who I was on my list now, so I'll just roll with anyone. And then you'll probably create a do not roll list.
Yeah, that's your swipe left.
That's your swipe left. That's you where you go, that wasn't what I needed right now.
Yep.
I think we need to take out not what I wanted, needed. I don't know. I need to think about that, because sometimes what we need is not always what we want.
And what we want is not always what we need.
Yeah. I think sometimes people play it safe a little bit too much.
If it's discomfort, like one of the things that I said when I was in that, when I replied into the group chat, the reason I said about the discomfort and the breathing was because I remember when I first started feeling like I was suffocating and panicking to that. Like, I'm just going to have to tap, not because this person's got anything on me, but just I'm suffocating under this position, and I don't think I'm ever going to get, and my head would go 100 miles an hour. Yeah. And you have, like for me, I had to get to a point where I just found a slit somewhere where I could just put my mouth and go, I'm not suffocating, you idiot. Like, chill.
Yep.
You can actually still breathe here.
Learning to be comfortable
in uncomfortable.
Yes.
Is so important.
So important.
You don't get that from a drill.
No.
You get that from rolling.
Yes.
You get that from being pushed. You don't have to win the roll, but when I realized I wasn't suffocating, that was a win for me.
Oh, yeah.
That was an ability for me to go, ooh, I can stay here a little longer and see if I can find something, or make a gap or whatever. I wasn't all of a sudden panicking. But if I wasn't doing that, then I never would have figured it out. It's the same as muscle memory. Because I'm drilling, because I'm doing this repetitive stuff, rolling is not the time to think.
No. And
rolling
you shouldn't be
That's
thinking.
right. Rolling is not that consciously thinking. Rolling is that subconsciously it's in there. Oh, that person put that fit. In my subconscious, if you do a movement, my body, my collective head muscle body goes, oh, I know what that means, ding, 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 and I will react.
That's what's learnt over time.
Yep.
Yeah, because when you start out, you were very much thinking.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking, oh, fuck. back. Defend.
First of all, I think you think, damn it, I've forgotten everything. That's what you think for a while. I can't think. There's no thoughts. And then you learn to think, oh, that's right. Step A, step B, step C. But by the time you think of it, it's already gone.
Yeah, they've gone on to step 12.
And then you get to the point where in the moment you're going, oh, I'm in that moment. Step A, great, that works. Step B, great, that works. Step C, too late. Right?
And that only happens if you're in, I think, I don't know if I've described it or not before, but ballet jiu-jitsu versus Broadway jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And so when it's really fast, if you're with that training partner that is just a whip it and there's no, you can think A and they're already at Z, like whatever.
Or you think you're going A, B, C right into one of their traps.
Yeah.
Dang.
And there you go.
I knew this felt too easy.
That's probably the only time I do think when I'm in a role nowadays is, oh, shit, I shouldn't have done that.
Thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
At all. So, one of the most important parts of the rolling is that it puts you in realistic applications of the things that you learnt.
Yep.
Because without it, none of it's realistic.
Yeah.
It's just a kata. It's just a rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just reading the rules and not playing the game.
And when somebody grabs you in the street, you want to know what that pressure feels like.
Yeah.
You want to have some indication. It's the reason we force our girls. So, I mean, you know our girls, so we don't really force them because they love jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's probably a bad rap on them. But it is mandatory for our kids until they turn 18 that they have to do jiu-jitsu every week. If somebody grabs one of my kids from behind, I want my kids to go into fight, not fright mode. I don't want them to go into flight where they freeze and shut down and they don't know how to respond.
Not thinking mode. They need to go in action mode.
That's right, yeah. And, you know, we hear quite often when females are attacked, they freeze.
Well, what I think is probably more realistic is that females, when attacked, will fight until they run out of ideas. And then their head starts to go, oh no, I can't think of what else to do.
But when they're in that first grab, in that first come from behind and all, girls will freeze.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to be my girls' first instincts.
No. Yeah.
I want my girls to be so entrenched in knowing that feeling, that sensation of somebody grabbing them or somebody trying to throw them down or somebody trying to pull them a different way or whatever, that in that split second when that person who is grabbing them is expecting them to comply because they've frozen, they're going to get one hell of a fucking shock when my kids turn around and go, fuck you, cunt. Like, that's what I want for my kids.
Have you ever been surprised, grabbed by a training partner not at jiu-jitsu?
What? Say that again.
Yeah. Have you ever been, okay, so this happened to me once. I think I was at a pub or I was at somewhere out in the world and somebody came up and put their arm around my neck and kind of put me in a seatbelt grip.
Okay, yep.
And my actual first reaction was not to freak out.
Yep.
It was to look over my shoulder at who is this familiar kind of feeling, right? It's a familiar kind of feeling where people grab you and put you in a certain thing. It wasn't to like freeze. It wasn't to like throw them over my shoulder. It was actually to remain calm and just look at the person first before I then determined, am I going to throw this person over my shoulder or am I going to give them a hug back? Because that's what it gives you that feeling of my body is so used to these feelings. Yep. My body is so used to being touched and grabbed and having pressure on it that it's not going to shock me into doing nothing.
Yeah.
I can actually still remain calm until I can determine what to do.
Yep.
That's important.
I had one time, and it was actually my uncle, and I didn't realise. He thought he was being funny, and he came up behind me and put his hands around my throat and started to squeeze, and I didn't know who it was. So my immediate reaction was I literally put my elbow through his chest and dropped him to the ground.
What is it? You play stupid game, you win stupid prizes.
And I wasn't sorry. Like when I lifted him back up off the ground and just like,
well, there's a lesson learned,
I am
Uncle.
not the person I would do that to. You made a bad call.
Yeah.
But no, and so that's for me, our girls' training, doing drilling is important because it's how they're learning those micro movements.
Yeah.
It's how they're breaking that down. It's how repetition is cementing into their muscles.
And it's how you get new ideas for the stuff you already know.
Yep.
And it's how you get your mind blown because you're like, I had never even thought of it that before. Or, oh man, I've been trying it all this time and I didn't have my hand in the right spot. You know, now I realize that's what I've been getting wrong.
Yeah.
So that's where we learn it. The rolling is where we
get to implement it and we get to push it and we get to see whether or not we got it. Have we figured those micro movements out? Are they cemented into our brain and our other muscles to be able to react, accordingly? And if they're not, then you go back to drilling, right? You go back to, hey, coach, this isn't really working for me in the role. What am I getting wrong? How am I doing this? Is it just that the person, sometimes it's just that the person's better on the day.
Yep.
And you just got to suck that up, keep going, get better.
Well, there was one thing I was teaching this morning. It was the rear triangle, and your favourite training partner, Zach, said...
Do you know what? I was going to say something about this morning too, and then I'm like, I'm going to have to say Zach again. I'm going to get into trouble.
No, but he was like, oh, that's the one little detail I've been missing.
It was going over the hump.
Yep.
The pec muscle.
The pec muscle. It's really important too for your timing and your distance management, because when we're drilling a move or learning a move and putting that into practice with a compliant training partner, we won't get the timing, we won't feel what the timing should be.
Yep.
Because they're just kind of, they're going at 20%, 30%, right? They're not, they're just being more glorified grappling dummies. So the timing is about, because they're constantly moving in a role. We have to make sure our timing's right. We have to make sure our distance management's right, because otherwise it can all go pear-shaped and we lose everything.
Yep.
So that's going to teach you that you cannot get in the learning component of the class.
That's right. In almost everything you do too, from takedowns to, under to being on top, everything about the role will be based around timing and expertise of the person that you're rolling with versus yours.
Yep.
So, you could take that and go, oh, it's not relevant here. I can't think of any position that I know of where timing and spatial awareness wouldn't be a factor.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, so we got timing. I've got, improving the techniques. We've talked about that. Building confidence.
And resilience.
Yes. Well, and I talked about that, right, with the breathing. Like you actually can survive this. You're not going to suffocate.
Yep.
You have to be comfortable in an uncomfortable position teaches you that you can actually endure.
Yes.
And the beauty of that statement? It's not just jiu-jitsu. If you can learn to be uncomfortable, if you can learn comfort in uncomfortable, then you can take that ability and push that across every aspect of your life.
It's amazing.
Right.
I find with actually probably everything I have on my list today, and you can probably do the same with your list, you can relate it to jiu-jitsu and you can relate it to your life out in the world. But I 100% agree with that. And as I have grown through this martial art and as I've become more confident and more resilient on the mats, I have become more confident and more resilient and more able to have difficult conversations with people.
Yep.
I'm able to put myself out there and do new things that are terrifying to me.
Go on, share.
No.
Share.
Well, I'm doing something tonight that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I did it a lot when I was younger, and it's been a lot of years since I've done it. So I'm actually singing in front of an audience tonight.
And guys, I have to tell you, I know I'm looking at the camera now, I am going to tell you, I've heard her in rehearsals, and it's okay, everybody. I'll take video for you tonight. I'll be sharing.
So, I think it just is so across the board, but that confidence and that resilience, someone says something to you, you don't have to go to water. If you need to have a difficult conversation with someone that's a bit uncomfortable, you can take that breath and go and do it and know that it's probably going to be okay. And things aren't as bad as what we make them out to be in our head to start with, but that's a lot of growth and personal growth that you've got to go through to get there.
Yep.
But on the mats, it's amazing.
And every roll on the mats, and obviously there's exceptions. If you're a white belt and you're going up against a brown belt or a black belt, but even in that, size and strength and so many factors matter, right? So no outcome of a roll is a guarantee. There is not an instance where it's a guarantee.
Oh, man, I get tapped out by white belts all the time.
And, if you're Grant, right, and you're going against a white belt, it's probably a guarantee that Grant's going to. But it's rare that it's an absolute guarantee.
He will quite openly say that, gets tapped out by across the board.
Yep. So no role is a guarantee.
Nope.
No hard conversation in life is a guarantee.
Nope.
No day is a guarantee. So anything that you're learning in that resilience phase, anything that you're learning in the confidence phase, anything that you're learning in a physical strength, you can bring that back into a conscious strength. You can bring that back into a personality strength, and you can take all of them into every aspect of your life.
Man, you can even bring that back into a parenting strength.
Yep.
Or a daughter-parent relationship strength, or a whatever. You can. It's in a work environment.
Yep.
I don't know how much more confident I became as I grew in Jiu Jitsu in my actual working career.
Yep.
You know, and able to go and have a talk to my boss about something that I needed without feeling those feelings of butterflies. And I actually kind of realized, hang on, it's just another person.
Yep.
They're just people.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the mats, how we have a hierarchy, but they're still just people.
Yep.
Everyone's human. We
it.
all bleed red,
Yes,
to be really cliche.
Yep, we certainly do.
Yep.
As long as you're breathing the same air and you're bleeding red, you're an equal, right?
Well, you shouldn't go to a doctor. You're okay. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
But I say that to my kids as well. So my kids are also singing tonight, right? And they've got the butterflies and they've got nerves and they're scared. And I keep saying to them, yes, 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 that's right. And every time you go out on concert, every time you go to competition, every time you go and pick a new rolling partner, you are going to have those butterflies. You are going to be nervous.
Until you don't.
You are going to be scared until you do it.
Yeah.
And then when it's over, you're going to be exhilarated and excited, or you might, it might not be a success and you're going to learn from it and you're going to pick up the pieces and you're going to figure out where it went wrong.
Yep.
But none of it's a death sentence.
Yep.
And for as long as it's not a death sentence, I reckon we're doing okay.
And then the more you do it, the easier it all becomes.
That's
I remember my first time I taught a class.
Mm-hmm.
I was so nervous that in between each technique, I'd have to walk to the side of the mat and take a drink. Not because I was thirsty, because my mouth was like sand. I was so nervous.
Yep.
And now I teach more than probably half the load at Iconic. Yep. I teach all the day classes, the kids classes, a couple of like the ladies class at night on a Wednesday. I'll fill in whenever Grant's off the mats, unless I can get one of the other, black belts to sit in and teach us their amazing skills as well, because I also like to learn and be a student, and I love that part of the class, and I like to put it into practice.
Yep.
So yeah.
You just got to keep doing it.
Yep.
You just got to keep showing up. Same to anything in life. All right, so increasing the endurance. So, whether it goes, if you're doing, at the women's class we have 3-minute rounds, right?
Yeah, they're really short.
Yeah. But they're there and they're allowing you that ability to build up. It's
allowing the ladies to dip their toes in and but have it not go on forever, you know, where they can have a little break before jumping in again. So it's really important.
And so you get that 3 minutes, you have your break, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. Now we might have 5 or 6 or 8 rolls in the women's class, right, at 3 minutes. Then they get to come over into the other side, into the combined adults world. It's 5 minutes, but they don't have to do it 8 times.
Yeah.
So you're building up that endurance level. You're building up your stamina each time you turn up and you're on the mats. Again, it's another really good, and for a 52-year-old chick, that's super important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm sitting on the couch getting fatter and more unhealthy, and I'm dead at 70. So being able to continuously build up, whether you're 20, 30, 40 or 50, it's important to keep that physical component and to keep pushing that. And so levels of endurance are important, right? Your breathing, your muscles, your fitness.
It is really important to spar for that reason, because you don't want to be in a situation where you have to use it for real and not have the ability to out-endure the person who's trying to hurt you.
The boogeyman.
That's right, right? If you want to think about it in a self-defense context, or if you want to think about it in a sportive context, you want to be that person that can keep your energy levels high while you lower your opponent on the mat in a competition or whatever. If you want to look at that side of it, you want to lower their endurance while you maintain yours. It's a funny thing, mat fitness, because when new people start out, they gas themselves really fast. And they're like, man, you guys must be all so fit. And it's funny because mat fitness is its own thing. But really what it is your ability to remain calm in uncomfortable positions.
Mm-hmm.
Because while you're in an uncomfortable position, a new person will thrash about and use all their energy. An experienced grappler will settle and calm down and regulate their breathing and be ready for that other person to make their next move so they can capitalize on it. So they're not thrashing all about using all their energy levels. They're actually preserving their energy levels for when the time is right for them to make a move.
Yeah, it used to shit me royally with rolling with Matt because I was the fish out of water. And he'd just be like, do, and then I'd be tapping. I'm like, I don't understand this.
Oh, nothing makes me happier than when I'm rolling with a very, I won't say brand new because they don't know what they don't know, but someone who's been rolling for a while, who might be bigger and stronger than me, and they're really trying hard. They're coming for me, and they're puffing and panting, and we get to the end of the roll, and they fall on their back and be like, oh, that was so hard. And I'm like, thanks for the roll. Yeah. And I bounce up to my feet, and I walk off to the next person, and I'm not even breathing hard. And and then sometimes I walk away and go, oh, okay. But like I'll fake it. No, I more than ever at the moment, I'm better than ever doing that. I can really control my breathing really well now in my matches. And I think I spoke ages ago, like when we talk about, the podcast now, it's like, did we talk about this about 6 months ago now, which is really cool for us. About when I did my black belt competition match.
Yes.
And about 2 minutes in, I audibly heard myself breathe.
Yep.
And I went, Rachel, what are you doing? You shouldn't be breathing this hard. And I actually stopped in that moment and I got my breathing under control, which then got the rest of my round working better for me.
Do you know, I watched you do that at Wollongong too, in one of the roles.
Oh, did you?
And I was actually filming it. And it was interesting because there was a moment there where everything about your breathing changed.
Yep.
And I thought to myself at that moment, oh, she's gone into the 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Up, down, up, down.
The square breathing.
The square breathing, yeah. So, I watched you do that.
I will every now and then, if I'm having a really good roll, and it's usually with, fellow brown and black belts, because that's where it becomes really technical. And, man, I was having a super awesome roll with one of our black belts, Brett, last night. Seriously fun. And we were really going for it at one point, and I could hear myself breathing, but I was actually having so much fun I didn't want to stop anything. And so, but I will, if I hear myself breathe, I will actually in that moment stop and just get my breathing back under control. Yep. I really try and do that. That's really important to me.
I love how you light up when you talk about really good rolls, and when you get in it, your whole face just lights up like my Christmas tree.
Oh, and my God, that is actually my last point, but I've missed points to get to it. But rolling is fun.
Yep.
Rolling is the fun part of jiu-jitsu. Why would you do all the work and not actually enjoy the
Why would you read the rules and not play the game? I know, right? It doesn't make sense.
It is the fun part. And I know it's sometimes hard when you start because it's not fun being the nail all the time. But just wait 6 months and that next person will walk through the door, and all of a sudden you'll get that feeling of accomplishment. And then when you are in it long enough that you can get to those levels where you are high enough ranked and you've been doing it for years and years, and you are playing the game of jiu-jitsu with another high level training partner.
Yep.
It's a thing of beauty that I wish I could tell you what that is. I know you know, but I wish I could tell people what that is. but you don't know it.
You're not going to
until
know
you're
it
in
until you experience it.
Yep.
That's right. And that's the other thing that I wrote about, you know. You think you don't want it, you think you don't need it until you experience it. And then it becomes like a life force.
Yeah.
Then that's all you can think about.
And then
that's
you
all
see
you
my
want.
face light up
That's right.
when I talk about
And
it.
you know, I said that because watching those ladies down in Wollongong, and they were all out of their comfort zone. They'd not travelled to other gyms or anything like that, but they all held their own so beautifully.
Yeah.
And they all had techniques and they moved like they knew something about jiu-jitsu. And I'm not sure any of them got up and walked away and patted themselves on the back. Like, you got to own that part of your journey, right? You've got to understand that you are learning. You've got this. Like, you can actually go onto a mat in a roll and the person might be 2 belts above you, or they might be 3 belts above you. They're not getting anything.
Or they might be 2 belts below you and still whipping your ass.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like,
happens.
if the mindset is
Yeah.
that I'm just a white belt and I'm wasting a brown belt's time, and
Oh,
I was
no,
there,
never,
I
never.
used to think that too.
Never,
like,
never.
I get it.
Yeah.
But you're right, you're not.
No.
Because you're a person that still understands something about jiu-jitsu,
Yep.
and you still bring something to the table.
I will still learn about my own jiu-jitsu when I'm rolling with a new person.
Yep.
Because they will move in unpredictable ways to what a black belt will roll.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, oh man, someone hasn't done that to me for a while.
Yep.
Okay, what was that answer again? And so I start to problem solve. And that's actually another point on my list is that the rolling portion of it, that's where you become creative in your jiu-jitsu. That's where you start to go, that's a problem that we hadn't learned in the drilling part. Let me see if I can solve it.
Yep.
And then if I can't solve it, well, that's a really great question for my coach. But if I can solve it, that's actually really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so you start to like engage different parts of your brain, and your body is learning and everything's coming together to make this full picture of what we do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you learn to love it. You learn to get excited about it. And then all of a sudden you want more. The feed, it needs to feed you, and that becomes important too.
Yep.
So endurance, breathing, breaking the movements down into the micros, learning lowly. So our youngest, when she was little, she couldn't say slowly. So everything she'd go, slowly.
Is that because she used to do things fast? So you would say to her, do it slowly.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we would
And then
always,
she'd repeat back,
she'd go, lowly. And she'd always get the hang of, lowly. Sorry, Addie. And so lowly has stuck in our family now always. Yeah. And now you're doing it as well.
I say it to you all the time. Lowly. I wonder where she got it from.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're kind of related. So everything about jiu-jitsu can be fast.
Yes.
Right? We've well established that you can go 100 miles an hour and not always get it right. But in drilling, if you slow it down and you put all of those micro pieces together as you're building the jigsaw puzzle, then you get into rolling. If you are lowly in rolling too, you find that you can probably do more. You're not burning out quickly. You're not, we talked about this the other day, that you should be able to go through a roll based on technique and not walk away feeling like you've ripped every muscle off your body.
Yes.
Right? Now, I'm certainly not there yet. I know that me...
You feel like you've ripped every muscle off your body?
Some days, yeah. But that's because I'm very much, strength is still kicking in first. Whereas I want to flip that. So my next part of the journey, when I'm back to jiu-jitsu in its proper form, my next part of my journey is to remind myself constantly every day, don't use strength.
Yep.
You need, need to start doing more technique than strength. Technique needs to be my first go-to. And I'm only going to get there if I slow down. when I get in and I start a roll and I ramp up and then my partner ramps up with me and everything's starting to move fast, then I'm starting to rely on my strength to get through. Yes, I have some technique. Absolutely I do. I wouldn't be a purple belt if I didn't have something. But I need to use less strength. And that will be a conscious effort on my behalf with Addie in my head going, slowly. So learning slow is important, and I think it's an important lesson that not a lot of people have.
It's, as a coach, nothing is more frustrating to me when I'm teaching a technique and I'm like, okay, these are 3 really important steps to this technique. People will then go and drill, and this actually happened last night on the mat, and I shouted out to, well, not shouted out to, but I actually commented on 2 guys on the mats who were doing it step by step, because I looked around the room and everyone was just jumping into the position, not doing the pre-work to lead up to that position. They were just jumping straight into the position and then finishing it. And I'm like, part of the whole technique that Grant showed was the lead up into that position. You're all forgetting that. There was 2 guys on the mat and I said, thank you. You're going to get this better than anyone else on the mat. Why? Because you're going to be able to get there in the first place.
Yep.
Because you've actually broken the steps down and you've learnt it step by step.
Yep.
If think about it this way, the role that's the sparring that we do, that's the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fight. Well, you know, if you're in a self-defense situation, if you don't practice it slowly, all right, with step-by-steps being perfect just in the practice, then when you enter the chaos, you're not going to have anything.
Yep.
Whereas if you've practiced step 1, step 2, step 3, all the way through to step 10, in the chaos of the roll, you might actually miss step 2 and 4, but most of it will hold together because you've practiced everything else along the way. Yep. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
So that's what frustrates me is like when people will shortcut their actual drilling because it won't work in the chaos of the roll.
It's like IKEA, right? IKEA furniture always comes with instructions that everybody throws over their shoulder, and they're always left with 2 extra screws.
Yeah.
That bookshelf is not holding together for the 10 years IKEA tells you it will because you've weakened it already.
Yes.
Okay, so think of it like that. Drilling is your instructional set.
Yep.
You've got to understand the micro movements within the drill. And I'm not talking, when I say those micro movements, I've been drilling for a number of years, right? And we've been across different schools and we've learnt from some amazing coaches and we've learnt from some okay coaches. But there is a difference between showing movement, 1, 2, 3, or showing movement, 1 point A, 1 point B, 2. And when you're in 2, it's really important that you do that. And it's just like you were doing today, right? And then you squeeze your elbows. But if you didn't say squeeze your elbows and nobody got that micro component to that triangle, then they were just going to be sitting there. They were going to push their chest and they were going to try and move. The squeezing the elbows is such an important part. So that movement is just point 2 of it, but in point 2 there was 3 little extra sections. They're the micro movements that people don't get when they're just rolling.
Yep.
So, and they're also the micro movements that people won't get if they're not drilling it over and over and over again to realize that there's 3 different components in that one position.
And likewise, sometimes as a coach, we won't give you all the micro movements because it's too much. You have to actually then roll to start working out some of those micro movements for yourself and your body shape and their body shape, because another important part that I've got on my list is adaptability. No 2 people are the same. So you will have often a favorite training partner that you will come to the mats, you will do the class with. And you might have maybe 3 or 4 people on that list and you'll rotate through those people if you do it all. Yep. Like some people just have one favorite training partner, right? And it's that person and that person only.
Yep.
But when it comes to sparring, they're rolling with people of all different shapes and sizes, athletic abilities, height differences, arm length differences, all of this sort of stuff.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, the thing that they've been working on with one body type may not work on a body type that's different.
Yep.
And so that is what rolling gives you, that freedom or that ability or that encouragement to start being adaptable and going, okay, I could get it on that person because their shoulders and their neck were narrower. This person's built different. They're a lot bigger.
Yep.
What do I need to change about the movement to make it work here?
Yep.
And nothing's going to give you that except for sparring.
100%. So equal, right? I don't know how any other way to put it other than if you want a full body jiu-jitsu experience, do both well and equally.
Yes.
And constantly.
Yes.
Or a lot. I don't know a better word. That's another word for more. Consistently. That's
is
it.
the word.
Thank you. That's the word.
Consistently. Yeah. Don't show up, once a month and expect to get better.
Yep.
Or don't show up twice this week and then not for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you better.
Yep.
Don't show up and do the class, stay for 1 round and go home. That's not actually going to improve you.
Yep.
You will learn jiu-jitsu in theory.
Yeah.
But you won't learn it in practice.
And it won't muscle memory. It won't cement into your body for the results that you're looking for. And in fairness, if life gets in the way and at this particular point in time and all the rest of it, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's better than nothing.
That's right. Yeah. So keep turning up to that once.
Absolutely.
But look to try and build it. Look to try and find gaps in your life where you can go, I'll slip in another one here or I'll slip in another one there.
But if you're doing it, do it.
Yeah.
Don't half-ass it either.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does frustrate me when I see people want to, they want to improve. They want to, level up the ranks. They want to keep going. They want to do this for self-defense or whatever. They want to be part of the community. They want all the things that come along with it. But they'll come onto the mats and they'll kind of half do the technique and half do the class and talk about everything else under the sun and interrupt their training partner's experience. Then they'll go to roll and they'll kind of do a little bit of that and then interrupt that training partner's experience and take a selfie and go home. These are frustrating things because I want you to get better.
Yep.
I'm your coach and I want what's best for you.
Yep.
And so if I see you kind of not doing that, it's frustrating, but it's also, it makes me sad. No one wants sad Rachel.
No sad Rachel. Everybody's just got to turn up and do it and
do the work.
Do the
That's
work.
what I said earlier,
That's it.
right?
Smart people work hard.
Yep.
That's it. And do you know what though? There's no diet pill in jiu-jitsu. There's no shortcut in this.
No.
You got to turn up. You got to be prepared to do it for the long haul. We talked about that on the video we did with Matt's black belt stuff that, he said some exceptional people are doing it in 7 to 9. Most people are doing it in 11 years. To get to that black belt, you're looking at that 11-year commitment to a martial arts that we just rattled off some of the most amazing benefits that you can take away into your life, into every other aspect of your life. You get to build on that over time. So don't expect it overnight. Don't expect a shortcut for it because it's not coming.
Yep.
Do the work.
Absolutely.
Smart people work hard.
Have you got anything else on your list?
No, I think we went through them all.
Oh, I've got 2 more.
I've got one more. Sorry.
Okay.
We did it. Improvement of the reaction time. So that kind of comes into timing and length and all the rest of it. Yeah. Okay. So go. What are yours?
Well, mine was social interactions.
It's huge.
I just said, don't treat it like a, like
a playtime.
Like a non-jiu-jitsu thing. But it's amazing how your bonds that you share, it actually comes from the sparring.
Yep.
The trust that you experience with your training partners come from the sparring.
Yep.
Your growth over time with these friends that you have on the mat, that comes from the sparring.
Yep.
It doesn't always just happen in the drilling part. So you'll form closer bonds when you do that. And the only last thing I have on my list is feedback and growth.
Yeah.
You get your feedback in the sparring part, just like you said before. When we were rolling this morning, and you were holding my hand one way and I was like, oh, try it this way.
Yeah.
And
you were like, Kaz, why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't want you to move it.
And I was like, how about we try it this way?
Hold this hand.
That works better. But that's you're going to have real-time feedback on your jiu-jitsu in the sparring portion. I mean, obviously you do get feedback in the drilling and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, on the technique component. Yeah. But rattling it all together in sparring, yeah, I agree with you. That's, and the other side of it too is if I'm rolling with someone who is better at jiu-jitsu than me, I'm going to get to the end, and I do it all the time. I get to the end of the rolls and say, tell me.
Yeah.
Where did I get it wrong?
I want you to change that.
Why?
Because I feel like that's really negatively focused. And I understand that you don't care either way.
Nah.
But I want you to think about saying, where can I do better?
What's the difference in my head?
Because one is pointing out fault, one is pointing out growth mindset.
Okay, but I'm good with fault. If I got it wrong, I want to know where I get it right.
This is the way your brain works.
It is. Left of center, my friend. I don't take personal offense.
I know.
To me telling me I fucked it up.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the same as you saying, where can I do it better?
Yeah.
It wouldn't occur to me to say it like that because I don't feel like I'm running myself into the ground. Does that make sense?
I feel like though that, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I feel like though if you were to say to a training partner, where could I have done better?
Yep.
It also gives them that growth mindset thought.
Yeah.
Where could she have improved rather than, let me pick fault with your role.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm probably putting it in an uncomfortable position for them more so than me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that I'd even go that far, but I just think it kind of it puts a full stop on it rather than explores.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. But,
I'll try.
Because I've heard you
I probably won't get it right, but
no,
I'll try.
I've heard you say that before a couple of times, and I'm like, no, don't say where did I go wrong.
Yeah,
say,
because I want to get it right.
But what's right? And this is the other thing,
well,
right?
that's the thing. And that's why if I deem the person, if it was somebody that I'm just rolling with and I know that I can be better than them and they can be better than me and all the rest of it, I'm probably not. If it's someone that I've sat and I've watched and I really like their techniques and I like what they're doing and I want to try and somehow emulate that, they're the people I'm asking.
Yeah. But there's very little... no, I can't say there's very little. That Grant is a really good way, and I can't think of how it's like always, sometimes, and never always, or something like that. But it's like it's not right or wrong. It's just different. And if you're looking at if you get two black belts sitting in front of you and say, "Where did I go wrong?" Maybe they could both agree on where you went wrong.
Yep.
If you said to them both, where could I do better?
Yeah.
They might both offer you two completely different perspectives.
Yeah.
And that's where that growth mindset comes in. So that's just food for thought. But
I'll try.
Yeah.
And anybody who's listening, if I ask you, then just know that I meant what she said. Give me growth.
Well, hopefully today we've convinced everyone that sparring is the fun part. Sparring is where you do a lot of your growth. The sparring is where,
I like drilling too. So drilling for me is fun. And rolling is fun. Sparring's fun too. So hopefully it's also the rules in the game.
Yeah.
And, some people will be able to play a game without the rules, and more power to them. And I'm forever envious and jealous. But
here's the interesting thing.
What's that?
The rules change.
That's very true too.
And that's why you need the class.
Yep.
Because the rules change,
Yep.
especially over time. Like how we used to finish something 10 years ago is different to how we sometimes finish it now.
Yep, because there'll be improvements
There's
and there'll be
improvements
modifications
and all
yep,
of that sort
absolutely.
of stuff. So the goalposts do change a little bit, and there's always new stuff to see and new ideas and new perspectives and things like that. So that's where that's really, really important. I actually really love classes too. Yep. I love learning.
Yeah, I love learning.
Yeah, and I love sitting there and going, I've been doing that for years, and I just realized why it hasn't worked for me. You know, and the penny drops and the light bulb goes off. I love those moments. You know, that's why I'm really looking forward to my coach coming down next week, because I always get that moment with him.
I can't see. You know, even just now as we're sitting here thinking about it, and we knew we'd been doing this episode for a little bit, through all the process, I cannot see an environment where you could convince me that one is more important than the other.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah. I agree.
And, you know, in saying that, then shout out to anyone who can. Give us the feedback. If you think that there is a justification for one and not the other, let us know. We'd be really keen to hear from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very much so. I think we're done.
What's your hope today, Kaz?
Oh, my hope. Look, my hope really moving forward is that anybody that is considering that jiu-jitsu is a fun, educational, strength, self-defense, martial arts, great place to be in, please get another person there. That's my hope. You know, we say it every week. This beautiful thing that we call jiu-jitsu means a lot to me and my family, as it does to you. If I could sprinkle that over the world and just go, you know what, let's all just be kind, be better and do this. That's my hope. Be kind, be better and do jiu-jitsu. What's your hope?
A few years ago, I went on a hike. And as I was walking on this hike, at the end of it, I was reminiscing about the stages of this hike. And I laughed to myself. I'm always forming patterns in my head. And I was like,
and you say you're not spurgy. Sorry.
Well, you say I'm a normie, so
yeah.
I put it like each step of that way on that hike, there were sections. There were distinct sections, and there were 5 distinct sections. And I laughed and I was like, that's like your journey through jiu-jitsu. From your very beginning stages to when you reach, you know, the pinnacle. And when I say the pinnacle, I probably mean black belt, but when you get to black belt, you realize it's not even the pinnacle. It just keeps going, and it just keeps getting better, and it just keeps getting more fun, right? But I remember thinking, you know, it started off and it was pretty cruisy. It was like a wide path, and it was, you know, there was some gravelly rocks on the road, and it was kind of like, oh, the sun was beating down. So it wasn't overly enjoyable. There's no beautiful scenery or anything like that. It was just kind of like you were just doing the work, right? Then it got to a section that was like hilly and harder but funner, and you started to get some views, and I was like, oh, this, you know, this is like blue belt, right? And then I was like, then we got to a section where it was, you know, a bit easier, and there was like some more interesting pathways that were happening, and a couple of different pathways that we could have chosen to go on. And I'm like, and in retrospect, I'm like, oh, that's almost like your purple belt. And then we got to where I thought was, and I was a brown belt at the time, we got to where I thought was the top of the mountain.
Yep.
And it was the top of the mountain, and there was beautiful views as far as the eye could see. And it was over mountains and valleys and just rivers, and it was the most beautiful. I'm going to take you there, actually. We're going to do this walk one day. And I was like, great, we've reached it. We've reached the top. This is the end. Let's turn around and go back. And Grant said to me, he's like, no, let's keep going. And it was through this thicket that was all overgrown.
Yeah.
And we've had to almost like chop some stuff out of the path was there.
Yep.
The path was really narrow.
But nobody had been through it for a while.
Nobody had been through it for a long time, because everyone obviously got to that point and then turned around and walked back. And Grant was like, no, let's keep going. The path's still going. So we walked through this thicket. We all got cuts on our arms and everything from the overgrowth. And all of a sudden it opened up into this magnificent like canopy where there was a waterfall and rocks and a little swimming hole.
Holy shit.
And it was like fresh air, and it was just, and there was, you couldn't see the sky because it was just this canopy of leaves above us. It was all like rainforesty. Yep. And I remember going, oh my gosh, that's the
that's
pinnacle.
The black belt. That's the black belt.
That's the pinnacle. What I'm saying is, like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
And my hope is that you just keep going, because you will love the rolling part. You will find the joy in it. And just like my roll last night with Brett, it was so fun and so exhilarating. And I remember at the end of the roll, we just both burst out laughing because it was so good. You know, that's what I want everyone to be able to stay in it and experience. But you can't do that unless you put the work in early on.
That's it. You've got to do the work, right?
That's my hope.
Smart people.
Yeah. All right.
Beautiful. Well, have a lovely week.
Thank you. Before we go, please like, share, subscribe.
Oh, yeah, we haven't said that for a while.
Give us 5 stars.
Yeah.
Give us comments. Send us some messages.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We keep asking, so keep talking to us because it's great
really
when we help
cool?
it. Tell me.
I'm not going to out anyone. But we got feedback from a couple of different people saying they've overheard people in their jiu-jitsu academies talking about us.
Yes.
And they know us personally, but these other people didn't know that those people knew us. So that was really cool.
It's awesome, right?
It's really
it's
cool.
so cool. And we got feedback from somebody else the other day too. And when I asked where they were from, it was Canada.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, we're everywhere. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So I do love that.
Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you for, enjoying this ride. We hope we're keeping you entertained. We're coming up to the end of the year.
I know. So we've got a retrospective coming through. And we've also got Dr. Phil coming on very soon too, so he'll be with us before the end of the year as well.
That's a really good point. He's a doctor, and if you've got a question that you want us to ask him, send us a message. We'll keep you anonymous and all of that. Like any messages that we get through for the doctor will be completely confidential. But if you want to ask a question to the doctor, send that through and we'll put that on the episode. But other than that,
let us know. We have some really exciting stuff coming too as well with the shirts coming through very soon, and I'll talk more about that. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. Can't wait to see them and share them with some of you as well in a competition.
Beautiful.
Very exciting. Other than that, please do like and share us, get us out there, and you know what? Share us out to one person who doesn't do jiu-jitsu because maybe we can convert them too.
Anyway.
Have a great week.
Have a fun on the mats, everyone, and I'll see you next week.
I'll see you tonight, and I'm so excited about tonight. And guys, I will share with you because it's so worth it. She's got a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you.
Have a great week.
Till next week.
Bye. This podcast is a My Broken Soldier production
and brought to you by Iconic Jiu Jitsu.